Hi, I'm Patrick,
And I'm Liv.
and this is the Mach-E vlog, and I am driving hands-free. We are just over 1,000 miles into our summer road trip, and it is BlueCruise summer. So what we're going to do is sort of like give you an overview of BlueCruise if it's new to you, and then if you are familiar with BlueCruise, we're going to go into some of the new features and additions of BlueCruise 1.3.
Let's go.
To get started, let me just say this is just where we happen to be at our road trip when we have time to film this. We're going to try to find, like rain and nightfall, traffic, those type of things throughout this week, and we'll insert those later in the video. But I just wanted to go over some of the basics for everybody out there if you're not familiar with, Blue Cruise or the new features. So let's just start with, the Mach-E has advanced driver's assistance systems, and it starts at the basic level. You can just have like typical stupid cruise control where you set it for a certain speed of like 75 miles an hour, and then you're going to do 75 miles an hour, and you handle all the steering. On the flip side, you can also turn on lane keep assist. And what that's going to do is basically like just sort of keep you centered in the lane. I want to change lanes here because there's somebody on the side of the road. And change back now that we're past. There's cars coming up behind us. So lane keep is basically what's in a lot of cars you're probably familiar with. It'll show you like some green lines, showing you that you're staying in the lane. And then if you get close, it'll get orange, and if it gets too close, it'll go red. And it can actually like vibrate the steering wheel and those type of things. Then you get into some of the more advanced features, so you can turn on like an intelligent cruise control, and there's different layers to that. So you can do on pretty much any road where there's lane markings, you can turn on intelligent cruise control with lane centering. And what that does is it's going to uh, basically like control your speed. If somebody slows down in front of you, though, it'll slow you down as well. So if they are doing 75 and you come up behind them and they start slowing down to 65, 55, it's going to slow you down accordingly. It's also going to keep you centered in the lane. As long as it detects the lane markings, you can turn this on, but you have to have your hands on the steering wheel. And if you have your hands on the steering wheel, you're fine. The final additional layer is Blue Cruise, and in Blue Zones, and we'll put a link to the Blue Cruise map where you can look up what blue zones are. Basically, they're pre-mapped roads that Ford has done a lot of like camera work and lidar, which is like a different type of light radar. Basically, it's not radar; it's light lidar, um, to verify the details of the road. And in those zones, you can go hands free. Now, even on a stretch of road like this, which is very, pretty much mapped, there may be certain areas that go out of blue zones. And what'll happen is it'll just tell me in my screen, put your hands on the steering wheel. And then when we're back into a blue zone, and sometimes it's because going through toll booth areas, it'll tell you that's where you need to put your hands on. Those automated ones where they take pictures of your car and things like that. Or if the road gets like really narrow, it's basically a good idea, I think, because it's sort of like if you are, uh, you know, basically in an area where something could go, if something goes wrong, you'll be, a danger. You want it to say, put your hands on and have some extra oversight. No matter what we're talking about, any of these, you're the one driving, you're the one that's responsible for what the car is doing. So you should pay attention at all times. Like I said, we're 1,000 miles into this road trip. I've been using it almost exclusively, and it's handling it great. But there are still, certain times like we got an exit. Most of the times it sees an exit lane and it completely ignores it. A couple of times it said put your hands on, or a few times I'll say it said put your hands on. There was one time where it got really confused because like we came up and the exit was there at the top of like a hill, and it was like resume control, and it was like flashing red, and I just steered it while it was dealing with that. So no matter what, even if you have 1,000 miles where it was doing fine, you want to always be prepared to take over if you have to. Now, we have a 2022 Mustang Mach-E. It came with BlueCruise 1.0. Our 2021 Mach-E that we traded in to get the 2022 didn't even come with BlueCruise. It was upgraded to that over the air. If you have a 2023 or 2024 Mustang Mach-E, they have newer versions of BlueCruise. By the way, we're scooching over, not because of the lane, but because that guy was in our area. And then now it just told me to put my hands on the steering wheel because that was a little bit dodgy right back there. So I'll keep my hands on, and it didn't make a noise, but if I wouldn't have paid attention to it, in about 5 seconds, it would have like alerted with a noise and said, "Hey, you need to pay attention." So as I was saying, so with 2023 has 1.2, 2024 has 1.3. So with 1.2, it added some new features, and those new features include some really cool stuff. Lane changes, lane change assist, I should say, um, in lane repositioning, where like we scooched over back there because that car was getting a little bit close. Um, and then it'll slow down if the curve is, if it can sense that the curve is too sharp for it to handle it. Really, really cool features that were added in 1.2. In 1.3, they've added some more features, not more features, some better resiliency so that it should uh, tell me to put my hands on less often. I can stay in hands free a lot longer with 1.3. So it's getting better and better as they go along. Now, 1.3, we've been waiting for a long time to get that, and it finally just rolled out to us. We are in the early access program, which is a limited group of like basically beta testers, but it's not beta, it's actually being released. Now they're just testing the deployment process. As that goes well, they will start to roll it out to the general public very soon for BlueCruise summer, as we said in the beginning. Very exciting stuff, and I'm excited for everybody to be able to get it. So quickly, I'll get into the those new features. If you have 1.0, this is what's coming to you fairly soon. So lane changes, it's really slick. We'll probably add another segment of lane changes when we're like up in Denver for this week. But it's there's nobody around me, but I can just tap the blinker. It says preparing lane change, and then I did my lane change, and then it's of course still in BlueCruise. To change back, I can just tap the blinker. It's going to move me back into that other lane. We've been testing this out for this whole 1,000 miles. It's been great. If there's somebody in my way, it won't let me do a lane change into them. If I put the blinker on like right now, it's looking for a lane to change over on the right, and it's going to eventually tell me like, hey buddy, there's no lane over on the right. So it'll eventually cancel, and it says not available, no lane seen. So excellent how it handles that. We'll try to do some more lane change tests a little bit deeper in the video. Right now there's like literally nobody around me, but you are seeing it is starting to rain. So I'll actually turn on the windshield wipers. I forgot we have the camera going in that direction. So try to keep the window clean for you get to see that. Um, In-lane repositioning, as I was saying, with that other vehicle, they got a little bit too close. We scooched over to the right. It's really helpful when we are passing semi trucks. We'll do the lane change, and then the car will scooch over maybe a foot, maybe foot and a half, just to give a little bit more room. And this is a underrated minor feature that actually has a big impact on how BlueCruise feels. I think it makes it feel a lot better for me. And then Liv, the passenger, uh, says it feels a lot more comfortable because she's the one that's over there on the side by the semi trucks when we're passing them, and it can feel very tight and compact with BlueCruise 1.0. With 1.2, 1.3, gives you just that little bit of extra cushion and feels way more comfortable.
More comfortable and also more human.
More human, yeah.
Yeah, like you as a human, you don't you scooch a little when there's a huge truck. We do.
It's pretty awesome. The slowing down for curves, it's good and bad. So I like it. We've used it a little bit, but it requires you to turn on lane change, or not lane change. It requires you to turn on speed limit sign recognition as well. So some people said that they've had trouble with it where it will pick up like a service road speed limit. What we found is doing a lot of this road trip or where we live in Southern California, the speed limit will drop to like 65 and we're doing 75. Nobody around us will change their speed to 65. So it becomes almost a, not a, I won't say a dangerous thing, but it's like we're getting in the way of people. So we turn that off. I'll manually adjust the speed. Now that's the other thing is if Liv can zoom in here on the controls for BlueCruise, everything is over here on the left side. Um, One of the really neat things about it is you can control your distance that you're following the person in front of you. So right now I'm on 2 bars. That means like a medium distance. I can switch it to 1 bar, which will let me get closer to this truck in front of us. We're starting to slow down for him. Or I can change it to 4 or of course 3. So I changed it to 4. I was at 1. It's now slowing down to give me a bigger gap with that truck in front of us. So that's very nice to be able to let you set your own comfort level. Around town, a lot of times, in Southern California, I'll put it on 2. When I go up to LA, if I leave it at 2, everybody just wants to cut me off. So sometimes I'll reduce it all the way to 1. Now it's telling me there's a lane change possible, which is a new feature as well. I'm not going to actually initiate it right now, but it was basically saying like, hey, this guy is slowing you down, or this person is slowing you down. There is a lane change possible if I want to go back up to my uh, speed that I have set. But going back over here, the other thing is like if I want to reduce my set speed, there's like a little toggle here. So I can adjust my speed without touching the accelerator, and I can do it by 1 mile per hour increments. And if I want to go up or down significantly, if I hold it, it'll go like 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden it'll go like 5, 10, 15 faster or slower. So that's uh, really useful for just controlling the speed. Now it's telling me lane change possible. I'm going to go ahead and take it up on it this time. There's somebody coming up behind us. We'll go ahead and it's going to speed us up to my set speed limit. And of course, the main button over here on the left, that is my turn BlueCruise on and off button. So that's the one that basically sets up the intelligent cruise control with hands-free option. Turn the windshield wipers back on again. We scooched over for this truck, makes it feel a lot better, especially on this like inside curve. Just makes it feel a lot smoother. I'm gonna tap, turn the blinker on. We're gonna do our lane change, and you can see we're doing a lane change even on a slight curve, no problem. Of course, now we got the rain coming in. Big drops, not too heavy, but it's still a decent amount of rain. And BlueCruise is handling it fine. Some really big drops now. At some point, if it gets bad enough, it will go to hands-on, and that's fine. Again, it's just trying to keep you safe. And you can see that it's working in the rain, but I think we're actually going to stop recording because it's really hard to do the audio when it's this noisy, and it actually just told me to put my hands on. So we're going to wait until we get out of this thunderstorm. We are just adding a little bit of extra here. We're going up the Raton Pass, so we're going to just show you, like going through the mountains. A lot of times we used to go west of Denver and show that. I don't know, we'll be doing that in 2 weeks, but for this video, since we're here, we're going to show some of the Raton Pass. Of course, this is a straight segment, but let's catch some curves going through this section of I-25. Here's some curves. We'll just let it run through a little bit of this, but so far it's been doing a pretty darn good job of dealing with these curves on this 1,000+ mile road trip. This is one of the curvier sections that we've been in, though. We've been going across the desert where there's not that many curves, but there's a few going through Arizona and New Mexico. But yeah, it's you're not going to get a ton of sharp curves on any interstate, but this type of curve is doing fine, completely hands-free, no issues whatsoever. I don't need to do a lane change, but just show you, like, we're going to do a lane change like while it's on a curve. It's not really a great lane marking here though, but I'm going to change back, confusing the people around us, but just showing you like it's doing the lane change. And that one, and actually what it was interesting is like it slowed me down to match the speed of the car in front of us, even though I have the cruise control set for higher than that. Pretty neat. And oh, I think I have my distance set to 4. Let me change that back to 2. And we'll get up a little bit closer as well now that we don't need to be on a 4. I'm going to go ahead and do a lane change. Coming up on a little bit of a couple more curves, but this is the main type of curves that you'll see on most interstates, and it's really nice to be able to do hands-free on the whole thing. Of course, keeping my eye out, looking to see, first of all, if the screen says put hands on, or if I see something that looks a bit crazy. And we're gonna have to pause because I think we're gonna cross this into Colorado, and we always do something with our road trip videos. So we're getting ready to cross the line when we come around this. So we're going to, we'll put this in both videos. If you haven't watched our road trip videos, we invite you to do that. But this is the Colorado line. Welcome to Colorado. I didn't say welcome to Colorado, but we just crossed it to the first Colorado county. Keep hands on steering wheel. It said slowing down because of the curve. So even though I have it set to the speed limit of 65, it slowed down to 55 for that curve, and now it's speeding back up. And then now that we're around that car, there's somebody behind me, so I'm gonna do the lane change. Watch out for bears, by the way. Scenic overlook here. This is just beautiful, and I'm still focused on the road and watching my display, watching the road. But because I'm hands-free, it also makes it like little, oh, there, welcome to beautiful Colorado. They moved the sign, so that's not actually the Colorado line, but they moved the sign because people used to pull over and take pictures with the sign back there where the actual state line is. So that's actually pretty smart. But what I was saying is, like, being hands-free, I'm still paying attention to what the car is doing, but I'm able to like glance and look around and notice things like there's the welcome to Colorado sign, and not have to worry about like staying perfectly centered in the lane because the car is doing that. Now everybody's catching up to me. We're going downhill. Everybody's ready to fly now. All right. So that's our segment on some curvy mountain roads. We could keep going on and on. Main point is, yeah, it handles it. No worries. It tells you to put your hands on every once in a while. Don't sweat it. It just wants to keep you safe. That's not a bad thing. And even with your hands on, it still makes it a very relaxed experience. And we went back to hands-free. All right. I thought I would throw in a segment of using BlueCruise at night. This is actually a month or so after I recorded the other segments. We're back in San Diego County now. We just went to dinner, drove the whole way there without touching the steering wheel on, at least the I-5 segment, just using the blinker. That was the only adjustments I had to do. And now we're heading back home, and it's now dark, but BlueCruise has been handling it just fine. As you can see, this is almost like perfect conditions for nighttime driving though, so wanted to show nighttime, but this is like the easiest nighttime you can get. Lane markings are very clear. There's no inclement weather. We actually have the reflectors in the pavement as well, but just showing you, like, even like, here we're coming up on a curve. BlueCruise is just handling it feels very nice and smooth, no hesitations, no wobbly, no ping-ponging back and forth. Overall, just very smooth. And like I said, on the way down, we went through this whole segment on the other side of the freeway, of course. I think it was about 18 miles on the freeway. Literally, the only time I touched the steering wheel was to do a lane change. We'll do a lane change right now. Blinkers on, preparing lane change, blinkers still on. And as we complete the lane change, blinker goes off. Um, so that's basically how the trip went down when we came down to the southern part of San Diego County. Uh, we didn't have any traffic. I was hoping to do like a traffic segment with stop and go traffic, but we had a rare, one of those rare nights where there was no traffic at all the whole way coming down. I know it can be hard to see on the camera sometimes what's going on at night, but I just wanted to give you a quick demo. We are gonna, it looks like we're hitting the construction zone. I don't have the speed limit adjustments set. I usually don't around here in southern San Diego County, but I do need to adjust, so I'll need to adjust it manually. So I'll start slowing down because the speed limit's now dropping to 55. And we came through this construction zone on the way down. Even though they do some interesting things with the lane markings, it handled that. I'm not sure how much they're different on this side, but we'll just leave it on. Not sure if you can tell in the camera. What they did actually do on this side is like there's white lines and then the orange lines indicating that we're in a construction zone, but they are also very clear, very easy for me to see with my eye, even very easy to see in the GoPro as well. So ideal conditions for nighttime driving, but just a nice little demo showing you that it works really well even without daylight. So that's it for this segment. Hope you enjoyed this part, and we will conclude after I find some stop and go traffic somewhere in San Diego or LA over the next day or two. We are adding an extra segment here with some stop and go traffic on an unmapped non-blue zone road. So I do have to have my hands on the steering wheel. But this is one of the questions I get. In fact, somebody asked me yesterday, like, does BlueCruise work on non-mapped roads? It does, but you have to keep your hands on. And this road here, and actually I'm going to scoot over a little bit. It's staying in the intelligent cruise control of lane centering. I scooted over because I saw that motorcycle coming up behind us. I wanted to give him room. So it didn't disengage, it just let me like navigate out of the way. But it's handling the acceleration and deceleration, even in the stop and go traffic. And even if we come to a complete stop, it's going to then auto resume. If we stay stopped for a long period of time, I have to prompt it to resume. But for like a short stop like this, we came to a complete stop and now we're speeding back up. And I have the cruise control set to 55. Now there are times like that where the car is like, okay, we're going, and it started accelerating a little bit quicker than what I would have done because I could see everybody still stopped. It's just looking at the car in front. So sometimes it's not quite as smooth. And then there it said press X to resume. Um, there are times like that where it's not quite as smooth as what a human or what I think I would do, but it's not, necessarily anything dangerous, or definitely not anything dangerous. But it's just not quite as smooth. And now let's see, press X to resume again. It's like basically X and a little like resume button. So now we're going to cruise back up. We'll see if we make this light. There's actually lights on this expressway here. And the other thing is like I can see that we're coming to a stop and I want the car to slow down. It's going to slow me down to a stop, but it's a bit of a hard brake and it makes me a bit uncomfortable at times. So this is where it's sort of like it's up to you. I think BlueCruise, we're going to try to film some segments in a little bit where it's like slow and go. I think it excels in that. But stop and go can be a little uncomfortable at times. And like I said, we've reviewed a ton of different ADAS systems across various manufacturers, and this is the same that applies to basically every single one. I think they can feel a little bit uncomfortable in like stop and go traffic. It's great when it's very much like on a freeway, but like when there's stoplights and stuff like that. Um, but it does make it so that you know you're not going to run into the person in front of you because the car is watching. So I do like to have it on. There's just a couple of times where I might, tap the brake a little bit sooner than what the car thinks it needs to do.
I will say the thing that makes me nervous with the stop and go is I'm scared the person behind us isn't paying as much attention or isn't using a system like this, because it's deceptive when you're like, go full steam ahead, even though we know that we're going to have to stop shortly because we can see very far ahead. So it always makes me a little bit worried about that person behind us.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's like I know we're doing okay, and we're going to stop, but if the guy behind me is not paying attention, I worry about that. That was actually sort of neat. We went through that intersection. Let me move over again. Those are the type of intersections with BlueCruise 1.0 where it would cancel like in the middle of the intersection or basically tell me to take over steering. And again, we did a bit of a hard break here. Um, but with BlueCruise 1.3, pretty much all of these intersections, it's been doing a great job of continuing through the intersection with no issues whatsoever. So nice improvement in 1.3. And here again, like I can see we're going to have to come to a hard stop, and I'm just going to go ahead and tap the brake because I want to come to a slower stop. And I don't know if you can tell from the camera angles that we have, but I think I did a much better job coming to a smoother stop in a situation like that where I could see the lights red, but the guy in front of me wasn't braking, but I knew he was going to brake at the last minute. We decided to try to get a traffic segment. We actually could have taken a slightly different route, probably avoided this, but just for this video, we're going to sacrifice and get some traffic. We got a couple of stretches coming up. The first one looks like it should be any minute now where traffic's going to slow down. So one of the things I'm doing is like I'm watching ahead. I can see that there's traffic on the way, so I will let the car handle it, but I'm going to be prepared in case it comes to a sudden stop or something like that. But I'm also being prepared because there's like the little toggle here to adjust the speed. Sometimes what I do is like if I see that we're getting ready to hit a really slow stretch of traffic, I'll go ahead and adjust the speed down as I see traffic slowing down. So like if we're going, like right now the speed's set to 68, and then I see it up there slowing down. So like let me go ahead and I'm just going to adjust down to like 55, and that starts the car slowing down, and um, we're getting ready to hit this slow stretch. It's just basically, I think, being a little bit smarter about things. And I'm extra cautious coming into these, making sure that my foot is ready to hit the brake if necessary, especially because a lot of times people will swerve out in front of you as they see the cars in front of them slowing down. But I'm letting the car handle it. I haven't touched anything other than I adjusted the speed down a bit right through there. But now this is typical, Southern California slow and go, and I can see it coming to a stop up there, letting it handle this. And I think this is where BlueCruise really excels in making my life as a driver a lot easier. I'm being a little bit extra cautious, again, mostly because people can cut us off and they tend to do that. Um, but it's really nice to know that it's keeping me centered in the lane. It's watching and making sure I'm not going to hit the person in front of me. So, just a fantastic way to go through stop and go traffic if we have to do that, which nobody likes doing it, but um, this is what's nice is to have tools like this that make it a little bit less stressful going through situations like this, especially if you have to do it on a daily basis. I do my best to avoid traffic, and luckily we have a home office for our day jobs, so we hardly ever have to go out and do a lot of traffic like this, which is one of the reasons why it's taken us so long to finish this video. But as you can see, it's doing a good job moderating the speed. We almost came to a complete stop back there. I don't know if we will actually finally come to a complete stop up here,
looks like maybe so. Nice and smooth. Um, Again, this is sort of like where it excels, like where there's not like stoplights and things like that, or a ton of real fast speeding up and slowing down. Didn't even come to a complete stop, but almost. So just I wouldn't say it makes it enjoyable, just makes it a lot less stressful, um, and doing a great job overall. By the way, if I try to do a lane change in situations like this, it will try to find a gap. It'll leave the blinker on until it does. Oh, here's somebody pulling over in front of us. Car tapped on the brakes. Fantastic way of handling that. So the lane change, it'll turn my blinker on and look for a spot. And if it doesn't, it'll eventually just say, you know, I think it says lane not found or not possible or something like that. But anyways, it'll just cancel and then we'll just keep going. Unfortunately, in Southern California, if you turn your blinker on like that for a long period of time, that's that's basically a sign for everybody not to let you in. So they'll close the gap. So it's nice to have that lane change feature, but in something like this, if I needed to get off at the next exit, I would just disengage and find a spot on my own, because anytime that it's going to do it, it's going to signal to everybody around me that I'm trying to move over and they're going to like try to block me. That's just something California drivers. But
Is it, or is that everywhere? What is it like where you are? If you indicate, do people cut you off?
yeah, I think it depends on the day and the situation. Like in the middle of the day or in the evening, but like in bumper to bumper traffic, it seems like I don't know. I try to let people over if I see that they're just trying to get off onto the next exit or something like that. But I think we all sort of don't like those people that are just cutting back and forth and weaving their way in traffic, because it's more likelihood to have an accident or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is relaxing, but it's way less stressful, and I give it two thumbs up because I can, because my hands aren't on the steering wheel.
And as the passenger, I'll say I definitely think you're right that the slow and go is a place that BlueCruise 1.3 and BlueCruise in general really excels, because this does feel comfortable to me. Like it feels like you're driving.
Yeah.
When it's stop and go, it sometimes feels like I'm driving because I'm a bit more of an aggressive breaker, I'm sure. Or my niece, who's a very aggressive breaker, which is not necessarily as comfortable for the passengers. So this is far more natural. It feels very natural, and yeah, you're right. It is comforting, at least to think the car will help with
Yeah.
avoiding accidents here.
And
Hopefully, not avoided.
and there's nothing wrong with being prepared. There's nothing wrong with like keeping your hands on the steering wheel if that makes you more comfortable. Nothing wrong with that. Blue Cruise is like a cooperative system, so that's fine. If you do touch the brakes, it's gonna disengage. But my test going through traffic like this, the first couple of times that we were testing out Blue Cruise 1.3, I literally actually just kept my hand on the steering wheel, but just sort of let it handle everything. And then when we got through the whole traffic, I literally asked Liv, I was like, "Could you tell that Blue Cruise is handling all of that?" And she said no. So that was like that's to be a good indicator that if she can't tell that the car is steering and braking and accelerating, that's a good sign of the system doing a good job. So
That's
yeah,
ADAS goals right there.
ADAS goals, yeah.
ADAS goals.
It should be nice and smooth and feel natural. Because technically, like it can handle braking very quickly, it can handle accelerating very quickly. Um, but that wouldn't feel good as a driver or a passenger. So the fact that it's slowing down gradually, speeding up gradually, but not like it's like that sweet spot. You can't accelerate too slow or too fast, or it feels awkward. Um, so it just does a great job of handling that. And then I'm going to try to do a lane change here, but I'm actually forcing it to do it quicker because it was going to do it, but because of the way they split the carpool lane, I needed to do it faster. But it's okay to do things like that. You can, again, it's a cooperative system. It's not going to get too mad at you for uh, forcing a lane change a bit faster. It just canceled by driver or a user or something like that. And then now it's back in hands-off mode, and basically went into hands-on mode because I was grabbed the steering wheel. And then, as you can see, everybody's exceeding the speed limit. And you guys can't see this, but there's a Mach-E behind us.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
gonna wave. So
Wait, I can see it. Hi, Space White. Looking great. Cameo, Mach-E cameo. Maybe they're blue cruising too. Oh, if you could jazz hands at each other. How do you share your blue cruise joy? Or hands-free joy?
all right. Well, we got more traffic coming up. We won't subject you to that. I think that was enough for us. So we'll continue on. Well, we're going to wrap up this BlueCruise 1.3 video. It's actually been about 2 months since or over 2 months since we started this video. I meant to record all of it on the road trip that we did, but we ended up coming back home and just living life and, busy with work and everything. So it's been a long time making this, but it actually gave me an opportunity to sort of just use BlueCruise in normal, like day-to-day life and see how it is from, just our normal use. And it's actually been fantastic. I've gotten more and more used to the lane changes and scooching over in the lanes. I basically turned off the speed limit sign recognition while we're here in Southern California. A lot of it is because it seems like Southern Californians ignore the speed limit sign. So having the car constantly adjust was almost dangerous because people want to just run you over out here. But overall, been very pleased with it. We're actually headed up to Orange County from San Diego this morning, and this is like one of the segments that I've used it on several times, and it's been like a test where we go through this area. It's basically right outside Camp Pendleton, which is why there's not like a ton of development. You can see some like Navy buildings over here as well, but it's like a 20-minute stretch, and it's sort of always been like a little bit of a test for me for all of the cars that we have with ADAS systems to see how well it handles this stretch, because it's actually a fairly easy stretch overall. There's not a ton of really sharp curves or anything like that. We got a curve coming up here. There is a little bit of traffic, but it isn't heavy traffic. And it's just like a really good test. Now, BlueCruise 1.0 would handle this okay. It would do a fairly good job, but there was a couple of times on curves like this where it would almost feel like it was ping-ponging, trying to find the lanes. Now with 1.3, it's super smooth. As we go past some of these bigger vehicles, it scooches us over. So it just feels really, really comfortable. Being able to do the lane changes is a big bonus. But I sort of like, again, use it as a test. And I think it was on Sunday, we got onto I-5 North going by Camp Pendleton. And other than tapping the blinker, I did not touch the steering wheel for 45 miles, I believe it was. So it's just been a really solid system. I really like using it on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully I answered all of your questions. If I didn't, please drop a comment down below. We're going to probably do some type of update of just frequently asked questions that we get. Some of them we've answered over and over again, but we'll answer them all in that video. But if there's something that we haven't answered, drop the comment down below. We'll answer those questions. I want to thank you for watching this whole long video. We tried to cover as many different scenarios and be in depth as possible. And very much appreciate all of you that support us by becoming YouTube members. There's a little lightning bolt by their names when they comment down below. It's $2 a month. Or our Patreon members at $2, $4, or $6 a month. We have Engage, Unbridled, and Whisper. And actually, I can actually show you. Here's our Whisper, Engage, and Unbridled. That's why we name them that. If you're not familiar with the Mach-E, so we name them after our drive modes. But thank you guys for supporting us, helping us fund like the road trip that we were on at the beginning of this BlueCruise video. And as always, no matter, just remember, Cliff's gonna laugh at me. Just remember, whatever you drive, whether it's hands-on or hands-free, enjoy the ride.
That was great. Good job. Bye.